There we are. Live right now. All right, everybody. Don't want to wait to find y'all's ways to your seats. Grab you something to drink. We're about to get some good conversation with Scott Smith. So if y'all can just find a seat, we much appreciate it. We're going to get started. Wow. Nice. Well, I thank y'all so much for coming to Startup Waco to this morning, to the meetup. It's always an awesome feeling to see everybody in the new faces. How many of you guys, this is the first time you come to Startup Waco to the meetup? Awesome. Welcome. Yeah. This is amazing. Thank you for the breakfast. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's thanks to my wife engaging Brittany to come and make pancake tacos. I knew that would be the most exciting part.
Yes. Pancake tacos, man. I swear I had that idea years ago, but it's one of those things where it's like, I know I don't like it. I was wrong. But again, thank you guys for coming to Startup Waco to the meetup. I am excited about today's guest here, Scott Smith, author, publisher, radio personality, and professional listener and business coach. So excited to have Scott Smith. If y'all give him a round of applause for coming in today. All right. So I remember when I first got to Startup Waco, I haven't been here that long, and you were the one of the guys that actually came up to me and introduced yourself, and I was just amazed on how you made me feel welcome in this space, right? And it was just awesome to hear your story in that brief extended time that we got to speak. And so when I found out that you were going to be doing this, I was really, really excited, right? So that I get to know you a little bit more, and then also the rest of the community to know you a little bit more. But so Scott, you want to tell us a little bit about how you came to Waco and how it all began?
Yeah, so a lot of folks heard at the ribbon cutting, what brought us here was in 2017, there was an eclipse that went coast to coast. Okay, we're living in Oregon, and that eclipse, the totality went right over our backyard. We were there with the kids, got the glasses, the whole thing. And when it was over, I turned to my wife and I said, now I know why people fly to Rio for a 2-minute experience. It was just unbelievable. And so we were looking at how to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary. So, and we started thinking like 2 or 3 years beforehand. And then my wife noticed, she says, hey, there's an eclipse that's going to be going through Texas. And we said, well, because of business, we know people all over Texas. At the time, I only knew one person in Waco, Twyla Kay. She's been a part of Startup Waco. But she's the only person I knew. But we knew people in Dallas. So we flew into Dallas and then came down here, experienced the eclipse, hung out in Waco for a couple of days. And we went down and met people in Austin and Houston, where Shri is. Shri is one of my partners. We have, for the last 3 years, been doing Instagram Live every Wednesday morning at 8:30 here as a backstage prelude to the show that Russ Hedge and I do, called The Experience Live with Russ and Scott, every Wednesday, which we've been doing for 5 years, something like that. And so then my wife had never been to the Gulf Coast, so we drove down to Corpus Christi, watched that enormous bridge in process. Oh my gosh, it is Texas. So then we went up to San Antonio. We spent 4 days up there. A friend of ours in Dallas, she is a publisher and had a booth at the Texas Library Association, and both Christine and I have written books. So we went there, just met great folks, hung out with friends, and had dinner in the rotating restaurant there at the convention center. Definitely worth that experience, great view of the whole area. Somewhere along that 18 days, my wife, well, I know she asked me the question at one point, and she said, money's no object. Where would you live? And I told her honestly, wherever you are, I'm happy to be there.
Wow, good answer. Good answer.
So, what about moving to Waco? And we said, that'd be great. Let's do it. So that was April. So in May, I did some research, found the radio station KBBW, and thank you to Ryan Williams. He has just been an incredible support and encouragement. And so I looked at their radio station, and Saturday morning at 8:30, it was blank, and it said, contact Ryan. So I put together a proposal, did some research, put together a proposal, gave him some samples, sent it out to him, and Ryan said, yeah, this is great, we don't have anything like that, let's do this. It helped that I was on the board of a radio station in Oregon, Hope 107.9, Extra Mile Media, and so at least I had some credibility to come on, but I will just say that Ryan took, he put trust in me, is what happened. And then it's my responsibility to live up to that trust. And I thank you, Ryan. He is a behind the scenes guy, so I'm not going to pick on him or point him out. But KBBW is a force in the community. Over 40 years, his father bought the station, and I appreciate the message and the values of a Christian teaching station. And to be able to put a program on that, oh my gosh, how wonderful is that? And so God has given me a platform to be able to promote great stories here. So we came back in June because we said, well, what if it's vacation before? And as I say, everyone wants to move to Hawaii when all you do is spend money and sleep on the beach. So we came back in June. Twyla recommended to us that we go to a BNI meeting in the Woodway area. So we went there, and Christine met Inez Russell, and she literally reached over and grabbed my arm. She says, now I know my reason for going to Waco. And so that's June, and found a place to live just over on Bosque, just a couple blocks from the river. Wanted to be close to downtown because this is where our heart is. It's in downtown Waco. And people who live here know this is a different community. Right? There isn't a Waco everywhere in the world, but it is the people here that makes a difference, and that's who we came to be with. When we met the people at the BNI meeting, and then we went to the networking forum lunch. Thank you to Luby Teichelman at the chamber, my first friend at the chamber. We went and met fabulous people. When we walked out of that meeting, I told my wife, we have found our home. And so that's June, and I take September 6th as our official start date in Waco, because that's the day we moved into our place. Thanks to the folks over at College Hunks. They we loaded everything that we had into a pod. And when my son became a freshman in high school, my wife started us on an intentional downsizing. And so then 2 years after high school, he moved out. We sold the house, moved into an apartment, and when we came here, we packed everything into an 8x8 by 16 pod. That's about 1,000 cubic feet, and we did not fill it up. So we were definitely on that downsizing route. And on October 5th last year, the first episode released on KBBW.
That's fantastic, man. Just that story alone. And then you really, me being born and raised here in Waco, and to hear how much passion you have for this community already is just amazing to me. We are so blessed and thankful to have you in our community for sure, man. So with you actually getting here and starting the show, tell us a little bit about the experiences that you had prior to even with the books that I've seen about you and heard so many great things that you've helped so many businesses already, and then let alone helping other businesses, kind of how Startup Waco does, and then also having your own businesses. Tell us your first encounter of when you realized that, hey, I want to help businesses and start my own as well.
So for me, I knew that I wanted to go into business when I was in 6th grade. That was it. I was going to go to Oregon State University, join a fraternity, play rugby, graduate business, and go into the corporate world. I did go to Oregon State. I didn't join a fraternity, but our college group was an amazing group of individuals. We had about 50 people in our college group. And you got to remember that the Pacific Northwest is called the Great Unchurched. That less than 4% of the population would be in a church on any given Sunday morning, and the pastors in our community got together regularly. And they counted the seats in the churches, and if 10% of the population of our town, Corvallis, went to church on Sunday, they would not have enough seats for them. Just the difference. But we had 50 people in our group, and that's my fraternity. I'm still in contact with those folks. And in fact, my best friend that I met in junior high school was a part of that. He's the lead pastor of First Baptist Church in Salem, Oregon. His roommate, Mary, that he married, was Christine's roommate in college. So roommates married roommates. And so it's been great. And so I knew I wanted to study business, finance, minor in behavioral sciences, psychology, sociology, cultural anthropology, the individual, the group, and how we relate to each other. Turns out that's been helpful in business. And then I did taxes for 4 years while I was in college, got into banking, spent 12 years, got recruited to manage a Hewlett-Packard credit union. And while I was there, I got into an MBA program. And like everyone who gets into an MBA, you change jobs. But I was a regular employee at HP and leased to the credit union entity. So one of the guys in my cohort in the MBA program said, hey, we got this job open, you should apply for it. The hiring manager, a guy named Al Penna, had been a Vietnam helicopter pilot. And because I had a military background, he was interested in interviewing a guy who had no warehousing, no logistics, no supply chain experience. But he said, I want to hire you to run this automated warehouse. So I had like 8 employees. And he said, I want you to look at it like a business. And so that's what I did. I came in, I learned what we needed to do, what we applied to as a business. Remember those thermal acetate slides you used to print off and put on the overhead? I would make those up, and every week and present those, and then to his boss, who would then in turn take the one or two out to go up to the level. And we were able to, through that process, make big changes in the organization. They put a lot of trust in me. I ended up getting more and more organizations and running supply chain operations for the Corvallis and San Diego sites. And that, again, they just put a lot of trust in me. I had a $15 million budget. $4.5 million of that was in payroll for the people. So I had about 120 folks that were working for me, running around, supporting the sites. And that's a big responsibility. I left Hewlett Packard, got involved in small manufacturing. In fact, these little easels that if you go into Fable, but you will see these easels everywhere. We sold those all around the world. That was a turnaround. That company was losing money, losing sales year over year for the last 3 years. Came in, turned them around. The owners were able to sell the business, third generation family owners. Then I was looking for a job and selling insurance for a year or two. Wasn't excited about it, but they were hiring. Then one of my clients called me up and said, well, I'm going to hire you. So I got into the specialty agricultural business, focusing on soil microbiology. So we had a lab, do testing, did some consulting, resold some other people's products. We leveraged the lab and developed new products, new soil amendments, and sold those all over the place. And then I got on the board of advisors of Phytelligence. Dr. Amit Dhingra, he was out of Washington State University. Went from managing soil microbiology to being on the board of advisors for a startup company that went through the Clean Tech Open, which I had taken the soil company through, which is the world's largest clean technology accelerator. And then got involved with that company. They propagated fruit trees with no soil. So I went from soil to no soil. Dr. Amit Dhingra is now at College Station. And so, but anyway, that's a lot of the journey to get to here.
Yeah, and so one common word that I heard you say throughout this process so far is trust. People trusted in you, and from what your background in education and what you developed from there, and then just the experiences that you went through, I can tell that you kind of did some major changes throughout. I mean, you didn't know about this side of business, but they entrusted you because they wanted somebody that was green, that didn't really have experience in this, but they entrusted you with that part of their business because you had some kind of knowledge of starting something. When they gave you that challenge of saying, hey, run it like a business, you already knew, okay, well, these are the steps. Can you tell me a little bit about what those steps are? So, because I mean, you went through some changes. I mean, even now from writing books to having your own radio shows and just being able to, you've been successful in every step that you've gone through. What are some of the things that you start to process? So if I were to say, hey, I have a landscaping business and you don't have any knowledge of landscaping, but I trust you. And that seems like the common phrase that was being given to you. How do you know where to start and what to do?
Yeah, as you look at all of this stuff, going back to the accounting side, doing taxes and all the way up through everything that I've done, it may seem diverse, but the common thread that runs through all of it is people and process. And people have not changed. There are a lot of the technology around us has changed, but people are the same. And the motivations that happened in ancient Egypt or Rome or 100 years ago in Waco, the motivations and desires of the people have not changed. The technology around us has changed. So there's a baseline fundamental that we have. So working with the people. And I mentioned that, so when I had all those folks at Hewlett Packard, I took that responsibility to heart. And after the ag business, I became an interim general manager for an upholstered furniture company. And we basically manufactured sofas and chairs for IKEA. which I would never sell to IKEA again. Or Costco, both of those. But we had 150 employees out there on the floor. We had a 170,000 square foot facility. The front of a typical manufacturing facility. You got the offices up front, and then the work is done in the back. And so people would come to visit and tell them a little bit about Mastercraft furniture and show them some displays of furniture that we had. Pick them up on this upper deck, and we could look out over the whole 170,000 square feet. And I'm like, there's carpentry, there's cut and sew, there's finished goods over here, and it said, and we have 150 people out there on the floor, but that's 150 families that I'm responsible for. And I don't take that responsibility lightly, because I knew that for many of those people, $20 meant the difference between being able to go see their child play soccer or not. So that's the responsibility that we took. So that's the first place, is to look at the people. And then the processes, everything is a chain. So there's a project management fundamentals, there's a model they call SIPOC. So it's a supply, input, process, output, customer. And everyone sits somewhere in that chain. I get something from someone, I do something to it, I send it to somebody else who has a process. And if you understand where you are in the chain and what happens before you and what happens after you, then what you do makes sense. So that's the whole thing, is to understand the people and the process.
Man, you made it sound so simple, and I know it's not always that simple, right? And it's really encouraging to hear, because through this time I've heard you say that you've been here and here and here, and you've taken something from each one of those spaces, right? Same thing for me. It was encouraged from some of my family members and friends when I was younger that, hey, you got to stay strong at this job. Do your best, do everything you can to retire, get your 401k. And I knew down deep in my spirit that I just wasn't going to be at these places for long. I learned stuff from there, and then I took that information and that knowledge that I obtained, and then went to another place and was successful in another place, right? Until I found something that really encouraged me, which was entrepreneurship, right? And knowing that everything that I've learned from these big companies that I work for was able to, create my own thing. So with all of the successes that you had, when did you realize that, hey, I'm going to start my own? I'm going to do something of mine. I've been successful and made some businesses, a lot of money. When did it hit you that, hey, I'm going to start my own business? And how do you know what business that was going to be?
So there's an academic paper called The End of History Illusion. And reach out to me, I'll send you a copy of it. But basically it says that we underestimate how much we're going to change into the future. That is, we believe that we've reached the end of our evolution today, right? So I look out for the next 3 years. I'm going to live in Waco. I'm going to run a radio show. Mark and I are going to go out to lunch every Wednesday, and everything's going to be the same. We'll still be going to Pleasant Olive Church. There's my pastor back there. So. And but if I look back over the last 3 years, I can see, I can describe in great detail the amount of change that has happened, right? But 3 years ago, I would have said the same thing, that things are going to stay the same. So that means that the amount of change that we experience has been unintentional up to that point, right? So I choose to be intentional. We can talk about what that means another time maybe. But so when you can prove this when you talk to people, you talk to Tweed with Quality Cabinets, and you say, Tweed, how did you get involved in selling cabinetry? And in many cases, it's going to start off with the phrase, well, it's a really interesting story, because it was unintentional, right? So this is, when I got into the soil company, 2010, we were using Skype to do video training on how people to interpret the soil reports that we had. And so then we developed our proprietary soil amendments. And I told people, my business model is this. I sell people a bottle of goop. They take it outside, take the lid off, pour it on the ground, and then come in and order more. So the more times I can get them to cycle that through, the more money I make. a lot of our owners, or a lot of our customers happen to be landscape contractors. So the better their business did, the more of our product they bought. So I had learned how to promote, we had no marketing budget, so I learned how to promote using social media. And so we started running webinars on how to use social media to grow your business. So when the interim job ended at the furniture company, I got a call from a friend who's a board member on Friends of Hope, which is the nonprofit that owns the radio station, Hope 179. He said, our general manager, Randy Davison, needs help with social media. We know you can do that. So I was looking for a job, but I had coffee with Randy, and he hired me as an independent contractor to do digital marketing, social media management for the radio station, some web stuff and whatever. By the end of the month, I had 3 companies that were paying me to do social media management. And then I came back and told Christine, I said, well, I guess it's a business now. So how did I get involved in it? That's a really interesting story.
Yeah. So I recently was reading about micro businesses and how they came about, and that was honestly that should have been in the book as well. Just it never fails. What happens is normally you're good at something, and then somebody asks you to do something, help you with that same process, and then another person, then like you said, oh, I guess it's in the business now. So are you still doing that digital marketing side of things, and how do you manage to do that, and then the books and the radio and everything that you're involved with? How do you handle all that at once?
Yeah. So time management, is a big thing, and I don't. These books, by the way, maybe when we get to the Q&A side, these are giveaways, right? You get them, and if you're interested, I'll sign it. But
I thought they were just for me.
Yeah. So at one point, Google Calendar let me down, right? So I used the digital thing, but all of a sudden, I'm somewhere and the phone rings and it's Daniela, and she says, "Hey Scott, I thought we were meeting for coffee." God, I can't afford that, right? So I have been a long time, for 10 years I used Franklin Planner. And then, and I use the other ones and all, your time systems and day runner, whatever I did, the bullet journal things and stuff. None of them did what I want. So this is what entrepreneurs do. They see the way things are, they don't like the way it is, so they change it. So I created the independent planner. And so literally laid the thing out in PowerPoint because that's the tool that I use. And then would print them off a week at a time, staple them together. Then I started handing them out to folks, and we made some iterations. And pretty soon I hired a graphic artist to lay the pages out for me, and then I created it because it helps me to block my time, and we use brain science to fire off dopamine when you accomplish things. So there's a goal tracker, you fill the thing in, it's like, oh, that's good, I'll keep doing that. So being diligent on setting up my ideal week has been really in being able to accomplish things. And so, yeah, I still do digital marketing. So anyone that's interested, Google ads are my favorite, but I'll do Meta, depending on what the business does. So I've been working with Frida's Specialty Produce out of Southern California. It's a national campaign using Meta ads. They're the only ones that are doing Meta right now. The rest of them are Google. I was fortunate that one of my clients was ITS Con Global. It's the world's largest reseller of used shipping containers. Very inglamorous business, but they were spending like $30,000 a month on Google ads, but selling about $4.5 million in shipping containers. And we actually got them to put an add to cart button for a used shipping container. So people get online, go to the Houston Depot, go, yep, I want that one, add to cart, have it delivered, pay it, it shows up. And so I do a lot of digital marketing. Contractors are my favorite. Anyone that has a relatively higher ticket price is a good place to go.
The way that you explain how entrepreneurship is, and you see a system, like you said, people and process, the process of how things are generated and done, and then you see a flaw and you're like, hey, I want to go ahead and fix it. Is that how a lot of the other, just in general, how your life works, where it comes down to even explaining a little bit more about the books that you published? Is it systems that you developed, that you've seen, and you're like, yeah, let's make some adjustments, and then you create a process that really has helped so many people? Is that how it normally works?
Yeah, it's all about just saying, what is it that needs to be corrected? So one of the places that I volunteered was Young Entrepreneurs Business Week. So think of it as business camp for high school students. So students would come in on a Sunday afternoon, and they would leave the following Saturday. They get into teams, little companies, and then they would have to find a problem, a product, develop a product. And then with coaching, they would write an entire business plan during that week, and then pitch it on Friday to actual angel and venture capital investors. Not to get investment, but to get feedback, and to get that experience. And the first day, they're like, oh, what are we going to do? I don't know, a problem, this, how are we going to create a business? And then the easy way is to go, well, let's just start with your morning. How does your morning go? What about this midday? What about these things? How about the weekends? And go through and go, what can be better? And then they would come up with their idea, and then they put the work onto it. And I will tell you that it is contagious. Any entrepreneur will tell you it is contagious. Once you get started, you can't stop. And I remember it was 10 o'clock at night. One of my students Wednesday, he was a junior in high school, and he's there with the whole rest of the team. He's sitting in the hallway outside of our classroom with a laptop on. He was our finance guy, and he was putting together the pro forma budget for 5 years out. So he's putting that thing together, and he looked at me and he goes, I never worked so hard on something that didn't result in a grade, right? And that's what happens, is you find something that needs to be fixed. And that's so this book, Business Networking, the Scientific Method, I'll just go back and give credit to my wife. Back in 2016, I was a speaker at the Social Media Summit in Dublin, Ireland, and the topic of my subject was the psychology and physiology of relationships. And the key point was to say that the relationships that we create digitally can be just as strong as those that we create face-to-face. In March of 2020, the world went into a global laboratory that proved that to be true. But at that talk in March of 2016, I released a title for myself called Motivational Listener, which I stole from my wife. One day somebody asked Christine, what do you do? And she thought about it, and she said very accurately, she said, I'm a motivational listener. And I said, Christine, I love that. I will always give you full credit because I'm a good husband, like I'm doing right now, but I'm stealing. And if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it says motivational listener. And then we put brain science behind it, right? So we look at what happens in the brain, how do we connect? And then there's practical steps. And I did it because my mother was very active in the community, and I saw people going to events, chamber events, business after hours, all that stuff. Some of them were very successful, and other people went to the same events and it was a waste of time. Because I said, well, there's got to be something different. So I said, I'm going to capture that and put that into the book. And so that was the first publication, 2018.
And so that what you just explained is, I hear that several times. It's like, I don't know if I should go to this networking event because, like, even the meetup, it's like, oh well, I may go, I may not. I just don't know how effective it's going to be for me. Or I need to really be working my business right now. I have 5 employees that they need me. I need to be there. I just can't be. I can't break away. Right? There's working in and working on the business. Right? And so when you put that into the book, which is exciting, which now I hope I win the book. But so there's common challenges that you've already figured out processes to help with. But what is one of the problems that you have encountered in this whole process of things that still is a struggle for you to this day, that you still haven't cracked the code quite yet?
So I'm a big fan of a morning routine ritual, if you will. So get up, make coffee, read the Bible, read a book, and journal. And often in my journal, it is focus. I need to focus, right? Because I do have an interest in a lot of things, right? When I'm interested in the coffee business, and Mark has a video post, how you importing the beans and then the types of roasting and all that stuff. I go, yeah, but I don't have time for that. I play music. I would love to be able to play music more. But, I talk about the 1440 Club. So every day has 1,440 minutes, and there are no rollover minutes, right? I used every one of those minutes yesterday. I will use every one of those today, and I'll use every one of those tomorrow. And I can't push any ahead. I can't borrow from the future, right? So every time you accept something new, you have to stop doing something else. And it doesn't mean that yesterday I used all 1440 of those minutes to their highest and best use. So hopefully through focus, and there was a great phrase, and I think I got it from my wife, that says, eliminate and concentrate, right? Eliminate and concentrate. So as I said when they interviewed Michelangelo, how do you make these beautiful statues? And he said, it's easy. You just take away everything that's not the man.
Wow, some powerful stuff, man. Well, yeah, I'm in deep thought right now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm supposed to be asking and stuff, but I'm like, this is some deep stuff. So I hope you guys are taking notes and getting as much as I'm getting out of this for sure. So as of right now, what is the biggest thing that you would consider is I see that you're very passionate about everything that you do. What continuously gives you that drive and that passion to keep on going through the trials and the hardships that that come forth with entrepreneurship and just your ideas in general, and they don't come to full fruition? What keeps you going? What keeps you positive?
Yeah, I'm on the board of a group called Uplift Leadership, and this is so it's in Oregon right now, but we provide career guidance for high school and college students. And every year we run a sleep-in camp at the University of Oregon, and bringing students, and in many cases, this is the first time that those students have ever set foot on a university campus. Maybe their parents had never gone to college. It's just a new world for them. And when you hear the stories of the children, I'll say, I cannot talk about my students and not be emotional. When you hear their stories and you provide input, and then something clicks, and they see a future for themselves, that makes a difference. Some of the stories that I've told here, one of the episodes this summer was following the Kerr County floods, right? And Jim Hardy and Lauren Hardy put together a truck, and through that experience of dropping off supplies, I met Emily Kurtner at Northcrest RV Park, and because I got misdirected by Google and went to the wrong place, and she said, "Oh yeah, affordable outdoor buildings is right down the road, just a quarter mile," and she found out what I was doing, and she handed me a $100 bill. She didn't know me. She said, "I want to help." So that's people, right? People helping people. And so then I went back, told her, gave the money to Jim. Didn't go on my gas tank. And she said, well, if you needed it, it's all right. And then we got an interview, and I got her story, and transforming lives, impacting people. That's the difference that remains, right? My favorite movie of all time, Wizard of Oz. At the very end, when Dorothy is getting ready to fly off, she's saying goodbye to all her friends, and she talks to the Tin Man, and the wizard talks to the Tin Man, right? And says, "And remember, my son and my old friend, that heart is not measured by how much you love, but how much you are loved by others."
Man, that is awesome. I think we're gonna have a lot of Q&A, so I want to go ahead and open up the floor for some Q&A. Hop, can you help me with the mic? Or Jermaine, can you help me with the mic? You guys, this is awesome. So y'all make sure you take advantage of the Q&A because I have a lot of questions myself, but I want to be, not selfish and give y'all the chance. So y'all want to raise y'all's hands, whoever has any questions.
Scott, I'll start. So I know that you've had these range of experiences along the way. What do you feel like is one key thing that has changed in the way that businesses are started or initiated today versus when you were, when you started getting into it? Sort of a now versus then.
Yeah, I'll just talk about the Shark Tank phenomenon, right? That really turned entrepreneurship, which if you look at the roughly 10,000 years of human history, it's only in the modern era where people work for big companies. It was pretty much, you had your own business where you didn't live, right? And so you can think of that as it may be glamorized today, but it's the way it has been for most of human history. And so when I was raised, the model that I was given was graduate high school, go to college, get a job with a big company, build a retirement account, retire and die. And by birth year, 1961, I'm a baby boomer right at the end. By attitude, I'm a Gen X, right? I will reject the current system. My wife is a rule follower, and she keeps me in line. But I'll push things. As a friend of mine said, I'll push the envelope and I'll shred it. Right. So Jermaine, really the way things start today is people see that just working for a company will not meet their economic or emotional needs. And so a lot of people are starting businesses on the side. And the best way I tell people is, if you want to start a business but you don't know where to start, think about over the last week, the last month. Somewhere along the line, someone called up Jermaine and said, can you help me with? Because they trust you and you have expertise in that area. Then you ask yourself, do other people get paid to do this? If so, you have to start a business.
So I have a question for you. Okay, you mentioned about YouTube ads and running them, but I'm so new to running ads on YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even have videos. So what do you suggest I do? Just the first step, because I know there's like multiple, but what would be the first step to keep in mind when I consider running ads on Google, on YouTube or in Google?
Yeah, so go to ads.google.com, set up your ads account. That's easy, right? That's just a mechanical process. Put a video on YouTube because any ads that are going to run on Google have to be on YouTube. So take one of your videos and put $1 a day to it. $1 a day, that's it. And see what happens. Choose your audience. You just go, and there's a lot of targeting that you can do, but keep it simple. And say, we're here at Waco. I want to go out 20 miles from Waco because my business covers that area, wherever you pinpoint. And then run it and get some feedback, and then call me up and let's chat about it. $1 a day.
Hi, I'm Daniela. So you've obviously watched technology change. What would you say are like your biggest pains as you're watching it change, whether it be podcasting or even the Google ads? I know that those algorithms change a lot. Like, what would be, like, yes, we have to go with the flow, but also what is your biggest suggestion to all of us as we're navigating all of the changes that happen so regularly with tech?
Yeah, I would say that today is absolutely the best time ever to be alive, because the barrier to entry is simply your willingness to participate. Right? If you want to be a TV star, then with your phone you have everything you need. It's all about telling a good story, right? So as I said, people have not changed. The fundamental baseline has not changed. The technology will change, The worst thing that I would do is chase fads, right? So, oh, it's TikTok. Oh, it's short form video. Oh, it's this, it's that. Whatever you do, try to not be doing what other people are doing, because if there's a trending video on TikTok, say, whatever the challenge is of that day, right? By the time I get to do it, I'm one of billions of people out there that are doing it, and I won't do it as good as anyone else. So why play, right? Do something different. This is one of the reasons why, and again, I'll thank Ryan at KBBW, was, I could show up and say, oh, I've got a podcast. The barrier to entry to a podcast is your phone, right? Much more challenging to be on the radio. And so find that thing that differentiates you. So it's not really the technology will change. Don't chase algorithms. Don't say, oh, you've got to do this, because it's someone's speculative chance that one thing happened and something good happened. The best thing to do is to find what is going to differentiate you and connect with the people that are important to you.
One more.
All right, so I've got 3 books to give out. So we've got Networking, a scientific method. We've got the version of that for students, Networking for students, and then Freeze in Action in the Face of Business Crisis. This I wrote jointly with Veronica Jeans down in Houston. She and I collaborated on this because I saw a lot of businesses, not just with the pandemic, but when a business crisis happens, in the amygdala, right, it's fight, flight, or freeze. During the pandemic, I saw people fight, right? They're on social media. Social media just distills a lot of opinions. Fight. Oh, the government did too much or not enough, or big business too much or too little, whatever it was, right? Flight. This is the people that were running away, and they're the people who are posting, is Disney Plus worth it? Because I've watched everything on Netflix, right? They're just running away from the business. Or freeze, and this is the worst thing you can do. When a crisis happens in your business, you lose a key employee or your big customer, or your lease is not renewed. These are all crises in your business. And so I've got some models in here that I've used that I created because the businesses that I've worked with over the years, there's a pattern, right? Things happen the same. So in this book, there's a way that will help you to overcome those business crises by being prepared ahead of time. So 3 books. Nikolai gets to decide how they're giving out.
I feel like there should be some kind of question or something, because I feel like somebody's gonna try to flatten my tires if I don't give it to the right person. So Jermaine, you got an idea on this? You're the creative one of the bunch.
A question to get the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. In what year? No. No. Maybe who can share with us maybe one idea or one thought that Scott shared that really resonated with you, and if you can share that, we'll take 2 of those. And so if you share that and see who it resonates most with, we'll vote.
Got JV over there. JV there.
D. Scott Smith, man, it's a pleasure working with you. Congratulations. Hey, the 1440.
Yes.
1440 minutes in a day. There's no rollover minutes. I think that was super impactful. I'm going to take that with me if that's okay with you.
All right, which book?
Yes.
Freeze.
Freeze, you got it.
You got it right there.
Who else?
It's hot TV, digital indoor billboards.
There we go.
So when you're talking about how you make your own journal, basically, that we did that too. And what I love is that not only did you include the brain science of it, but also that other people saw that and they saw that too. And I feel like that just cuts right to the point of being an entrepreneur to be able to prove something, and then you find the people that need what you authentically need. And that kind of also goes with what you do on social media and all that stuff, is to just put out you, and then the right people will come to it and say she's the best. There's just like a really nice blue line with everything.
Thank you. I love it. All right. Business networking, scientific method, or networking for students? You got it.
All right, one more. I think we had a hand up over here, right?
I did, but, I'm gonna be different as far as what you said, but one of the things that really, because I'm married, also have been married for a long time, is the fact that you listen to your wife. Sorry. That's big, because I have a supportive husband, that's behind the scenes, that's cheering me on, everything like that. And sometimes we can get our spouses and we think we're in it alone, or we think what they say is not important, but they're in the day-to-day with us, even though they may be doing something else. So for you to remember the things that she said and to give her credit and take, what she says to heart, that's important, especially if you are in an entrepreneur situation and in a marriage where it's going to affect her, what you did. In fact, she supported you in your endeavors and you're supporting her, or giving her input. To me, that's awesome.
And I'd like to continue to support, which you might just about be ready to say, because of some things that I was involved in. He chose a dyslexic supportive font to put that book in. Because it's not just for kids. Dyslexia really hits them at that point. We have friends our age that are still impacted that way, and they want to write, they want to read, and we had one go open up and goes, oh yeah, that's a lot easier.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so networking for students, it's printed with a font that's friendly for students with dyslexia. And I get to produce my wife's show. She's over 3 years now on the weekly talk show podcast, Aspects of Aging. It's unscripted conversations with experts. You can watch that live or replay. Go to agingbetternetwork.com. And supporting my wife is the best place to end today's conversation. I am overwhelmed with everything that's happened today, but this last year. Thank you to everybody. Nikolai, thank you for stepping in and doing the talk today.
Yeah, thank you. Y'all give it up for these guys. Thank you so much for being here. It was just awesome. So thank you so much. All right, we're gonna go through a couple of announcements. So we have a community platform here called Slack that you can, if you want to scan this QR code and be able to stay in the know of what's going on with your fellow members of this meetup, and this is the organization in general, to communicate with one another. And then we have that. Here we go. So Kiva is an awesome thing. I know that there's a lot of people that I've spoken with about needing a little bit of help financially. If you have a business and you are needing just a little bit more of equipment or whatever it may be, Kiva is awesome. It sounds too good to be true, but it's 0 interest for 3 years. And so if you have any questions, you can